Hello, Trailblazers. Today, we're exploring the road to revolution and uncovering the events that sparked the American colonies' fight for independence. Before we dive into the major events, let's set the scene for where the American colonies stood around the mid-1700s. In 1763, the 13 colonies had been established for over 150 years. Although they were still under British rule, the colonists had developed their own identity with local governments, thriving communities, and a spirit of independence. However, after the costly French and Indian War, Britain emerged with a heavy debt and saw the colonies as a source of much-needed revenue. They began imposing new taxes and laws, hoping to cover their war expenses. This shift marked the beginning of rising tensions between the colonies and Britain. One of the first major laws to anger the colonists was the Stamp Act of 1765. This law required them to pay a tax on all paper goods, from newspapers to playing cards. The colonists were outraged. They had no representation in Parliament, and they viewed this as taxation without representation. Then, in 1770, tensions erupted in Boston, leading to a tragic event called the Boston Massacre. British soldiers were stationed in the city to enforce British laws, but their presence only heightened the animosity. One night, a confrontation broke out between the soldiers and local colonists. Shots were fired, and 5 colonists were killed. This incident intensified anti-British feelings and united the colonists even further. In response to the growing unrest, the British government passed a series of harsh measures in 1774, known as the Intolerable Acts. These laws punished the colonies for the Boston Tea Party by closing Boston Harbor, reducing Massachusetts' self-governance, and allowing British officials to be tried elsewhere. The colonies viewed these acts as an assault on their rights and freedoms. These events created a surge of resistance across the colonies as they began to rally together to fight for their freedoms. The American Revolution didn't happen overnight, but the seeds of rebellion were firmly planted. And from here, the colonies would soon be on their way to pursuing independence.